Hey, what's up, spirit warriors? Look at you, you beautiful, magnificent, chosen souls. I see you. I really do. The universe sees you. God sees you. And you know who else sees you? Everyone else. And they're all lying to you about who you are. They tell you you're too much, too loud, too quiet, too sensitive, too intense. They call you a dreamer, a space cadet, and an idealist. They say your light is blinding, your energy is weird, and your ideas are too out there. They make you feel like you're some kind of misfit, a glitch in the matrix, a person who just doesn't fit into their little neat boxes. They whisper behind your back, point fingers, and try to dim your shine with their small-minded opinions. And the wild thing is, they know they're lying. Deep down, they know the truth. They're trying to convince you of a lie because the truth about you is too powerful, too bright, and too much for them to handle. But I'm here to tell you, my fellow chosen ones, are the exact opposite of what they've been trying to convince you you are. You're not too much. You're exactly what this world needs. You're not a glitch. You're the upgrade. I want you to think about this for a second. Have you ever felt like you're living a parallel life? Like you're walking around in a world that operates on one frequency, but you're constantly tuned into a completely different, higher one? It's like you're watching a black and white movie while everyone else is just living in it. You see colors, patterns, and connections that they can't even begin to comprehend. You feel a pull towards something bigger, something more meaningful, while they're caught up in the mundane, the drama, and the gossip. This feeling, this knowing, is your spiritual compass, your divine GPS, guiding you back to your true self. But along the way, people try to mess with your signal. They try to convince you your compass is broken, that your GPS is sending you to the wrong destination. They say, don't go that way, it's weird. Just follow the crowd, it's safer. I once knew a brilliant artist who saw the world in vibrant, swirling colors. She'd paint these incredible, otherworldly landscapes that just captivated anyone who saw them. But her family and friends, bless their hearts, just didn't get it. They'd say things like, that's nice, honey, but why don't you get a real job, a safe job, something in accounting maybe? They kept trying to push her into their world of beige cubicles and predictable paychecks. They were scared of her power, scared of her uniqueness, and scared of what it meant for their own lackluster lives. They tried to convince her that her art was a silly hobby and that she was just not realistic. For a while, she believed them. She tried to fit in, she tried to dim her colors, and she started painting boring, generic, still lifes. But it was like trying to fit a supernova into a thimble. It just didn't work. She felt miserable and suffocated, and her spirit started to wither. It was only when she decided to embrace the weirdness they saw in her, to crank up her colors to the max, that she found her true purpose and power. She realized they weren't lying to her because they hated her. They were lying to her because they were scared of their own truth. They were trying to make her small, to make themselves feel big. This story is your story, chosen ones. The people who tell you you're too much are the ones who are too little. The ones who try to dim your light are the ones who are afraid of the dark. They are a mirror reflecting back their own limitations, not yours. You are here to challenge the status quo, to shake things up, to be a beacon of light in a world that is desperately trying to convince itself that it's okay to live in the shadows. The great Carl Jung once said, the most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely. And that's exactly what you're being asked to do. To fully, unapologetically, and completely accept the magnificent, powerful, and yes, sometimes weird person you are. So if you're ready to stop believing their lies and start walking in your truth, then you need to stick with me until the very end of this video. We're about to unpack 7 powerful truths that will help you stay awake and aligned on your spiritual journey. You're not who they say you are, you're so much more. And it's time you remember that. Point 1, you are not what they project onto you. Absolutely, spirit warrior. Let's dive deeper into this, because what we're talking about here is more than just sensitivity or misjudgment. We're talking about spiritual misalignment, emotional projection, and the silent war that happens between those who are awake and those who are still dreaming. Remember that story about the artist? the one who poured her soul into her work, not to impress, but because it was her truth. Her family didn't understand her, not because her art lacked value, but because they weren't ready to see someone live so freely. They weren't seeing her. They were staring straight into the mirror of their own suppressed desires, unfulfilled dreams, and fears they never dared to name. That's what happens when a spirit warrior enters a room. You don't even have to say a word. Your presence speaks. Your light shines a little too bright for eyes that have adjusted to darkness. When someone calls you too emotional, they're often saying, "Your freedom to feel deeply reminds me that I've been numb for years." Emotions are sacred data, spiritual messages encoded in the human experience. You feel deeply because you're alive. You cry at beauty. You get chills at truth. And yes, sometimes you rage at injustice. That doesn't make you weak, that makes you real. But to someone who has built their identity on avoidance and detachment, your emotional honesty feels like a threat. And let's talk about the word naive. They toss that word around like it's a curse. You're too naive, they say, when you believe in love, in hope, in a better world. But here's the twist. It's not that they think you're naive, it's that they've become cynical, and your light-hearted belief exposes their bitterness. Your trust in goodness forces them to confront how far they've drifted from theirs. You're not naive, you're just unbroken. See, Spirit Warrior, people don't always hate the truth because it's wrong. They hate it because it requires change. Your light demands evolution, and not everyone is ready for that kind of growth. So what do? They project, they mock, they criticize, but their words are not reflections of your essence, they're revelations of their limits. This is classic psychological projection, a defense mechanism first introduced by Freud, where people deny their own qualities or impulses by attributing them to others. In other words, when someone can't handle their own emotions, they call you too much. When they've lost faith, they accuse you of being unrealistic. They can't deal with their shadows, so they try to dim your light. But here's the secret weapon of every spirit warrior. You don't fight their darkness with more darkness. You don't need to argue, convince, or explain. Your job is not to drag them into the light. It's to be the light. Stand tall, breathe, smile. Let them wrestle with their own discomfort. You are not their enemy, you are their awakening. When they gossip, know that your existence is cracking open their denial. When they mock, remember it's because your clarity makes their confusion impossible to ignore. And when they try to label you, smile gently, because they're trying to put you in a box that no longer exists. Spirit warrior, stay awake. Stay rooted in who you are. Because every time you show up as your full self, someone else hears the alarm clock in their spirit ring just a little louder. And whether they wake up or not, that's not your job. Your job is to keep walking in truth, keep shining, keep reflecting. The mirror you hold is not for vanity, it's for victory. Point 2, your weirdness is your divine uniqueness. You were never meant to fit in. Spirit warrior, let that truth land like thunder in your bones. Fitting in was never the mission. You weren't sent here to mold yourself into a lifeless version of acceptable. You were sent here to disrupt, awaken, and ignite. Think about it. Has God ever made anything average? Look around. No star is identical. No snowflake repeats itself. Even identical twins have different fingerprints. This universe doesn't do copy-paste, so why should you? Your quirks, your so-called flaws, your deep passions, and your strange fascinations, those aren't glitches in your system. They are the sacred code. The part of you the world tried to quiet is often the very part God is trying to amplify. That weirdness they mocked, that's your divine watermark. A lion was never built to be a house cat, and spirit warrior, you were never built to be domesticated by social norms. You were crafted to roar truth into a world addicted to lies. From a psychological standpoint, humans are biologically wired to seek belonging. It's a survival mechanism. In ancient times, exile from the tribe often meant death. So our brains developed a fear of rejection. But here's the plot twist. You're not here to survive. You're here to transform. There's a difference. You didn't come to this world to be another agreeable face in the crowd. You came to shift atmospheres, stir the soil of stagnant souls, and remind others of who they are by being unapologetically you. Many spirit warriors feel like outcasts, especially early in life. You might have been the one asking too many deep questions in class, the one who felt everything too much, or the one who was told to just be normal. But let's be real, normal is just a setting on a washing machine. And trying to be normal for the sake of acceptance will cost you your calling. The more you suppress your authenticity, the further you drift from your spiritual assignment. Here's where the divine irony kicks in. The moment you stop trying to belong, you begin to attract your true tribe. The people who see you, who honor your frequency, who aren't threatened by your light but fueled by it. They don't want you toned down, they want you turned all the way up. Because your originality carries revelation. It's medicine for a world choking on conformity. Even neurologically, studies show that creative, non-conforming individuals often have more activity in the default mode network of the brain associated with deep introspection, creativity, and problem solving. Translation: the very people society labels as weird are often the ones thinking at levels others haven't reached yet. You're not behind, you're ahead. You've got to stop shrinking to soothe the insecurities of others. When you dim your light to make people comfortable, you betray the very spark God lit inside you. And for what? Temporary approval? Spirit warrior, you are not here for applause. You are here for impact. And sometimes that impact looks like standing alone, but don't be fooled. Every time you choose authenticity over acceptance, you send a ripple through the collective unconscious. You give permission to others to rise, to be bold, to be real. So embrace the divine weirdness, the side eyes, the whispers, the awkward stares. They're confirmation that you're not asleep. You were never meant to blend in. You were meant to stand out, stand strong, and stand sacred. Your weirdness is not a weakness. It's your warrior mark, your sacred design. The world doesn't need more copies. It needs you, raw, radiant, and real. Just as heaven made you. Now go shine, you've got galaxies to awaken. Point 3, they say you're too much because you're a light being. Have you ever walked into a room and suddenly the energy shifts? Like all eyes turn, the air changes, and conversations pause for just a moment. That's not paranoia, that's presence. And if you're a true spirit warrior, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You're not just walking into rooms. You're walking in with light, power, and energy that vibrates higher than the average. You're not soaking up the energy in the room, you are the energy in the room. You see, some people walk around like antennas for drama and chaos, constantly operating in low vibrations, fear, envy, manipulation, and comparison. But you carry a frequency that exposes all of that just by existing. Your calm stirs up their anxiety. Your peace triggers their unrest. And your truth? That truth shines so brightly it exposes every lie they've been telling themselves. You're not even trying to confront them, but your presence does what their conscience has been trying to do for years. Wake them up. Spirit warriors aren't loud in the traditional sense. You don't need to scream to be felt. You don't need to flex to be seen. Your soul speaks before your mouth does. That's the amplifier effect. It's not just good vibes you carry. It's spiritual authority. And when you've done the work to align with your higher self, to walk with clarity and to live in authenticity, your very existence becomes a mirror. For some, it's beautiful. For others, it's terrifying. Now, here's where it gets deep and educational. In psychology, this effect is called liminal influence. It's that unconscious feeling people get when they sense something or someone operating at a higher level, mentally, emotionally, or spiritually. They don't know why they feel off around you. They just know something about you challenges the parts of them they've been ignoring. That's why some will love you instantly while others will suddenly withdraw or gossip about you. It's not you they're reacting to. It's their own unhealed stuff coming to the surface in your light. Spirit warriors often walk alone not because they're unloved, but because they're misunderstood. You're the torchbearer in a world that's grown comfortable in the shadows. And sometimes your light burns too brightly for people who aren't ready to open their eyes. That's when the shade gets thrown, the distance grows, and people start calling you too intense or too much. But let's be real, those are just code words for too real. Don't let that discourage you. The job of the sun isn't to negotiate with the darkness, it's to rise. Your light isn't here for approval, it's here for impact. You weren't built to blend in. You were sent to stand out. You were called to walk into spaces and shift atmospheres, whether people clap for you or not. So the next time you feel that tension in the room, smile. That's confirmation. That's your spirit warrior badge glowing. You didn't ask for attention, But when you walk in truth, attention finds you. And not because you're seeking validation, but because truth always makes an entrance. And here's the final reminder. You are not responsible for how others react to your light. Some will be inspired, others will be offended. But both responses confirm one thing: you're shining. So keep glowing, spirit warrior. Don't dim down, blaze on, let your life be a lighthouse. Those who are meant to rise with you will find their way. Point 4, your intuition is not a flaw, it's your guide. Chosen ones, let's talk about something that most people brush off as just a feeling, but for you it's divine guidance. You're not just sensitive, you're spiritually calibrated. Your intuition isn't some cute little coincidence. It's a powerful God-given radar system that's constantly scanning the energy around you, whispering the truth in your ear before the mask falls off. Ever walk into a room and instantly feel tension, even though everyone's smiling? That's not paranoia, that's discernment. You're not imagining it. You're receiving what I call a spiritual ping, a coded alert from the divine that something isn't right. Chosen ones aren't meant to blend in. You're built to sense the unseen. You don't just read the room, you read the soul. While others rely on what's visible, you rely on what's vibrational. Science even backs this up. Researchers at the HeartMath Institute discovered that the human heart has its own form of intelligence. It can actually sense events before the brain can process them. That gut feeling, that sudden tightness in your chest when someone with bad intentions walks by. That's your heart sending out electromagnetic signals, literally responding to emotional data around you. For regular folks, that might fly under the radar, but for chosen ones, it hits you like a divine broadcast. Still, you've probably been gaslit most of your life. You're being too sensitive. Stop overthinking. You always assume the worst. Sound familiar? That's the world trying to downgrade your gift into a flaw, but let me be very clear, your sensitivity is sacred. It's not anxiety, it's accuracy, it's not paranoia, it's prophecy. You're not broken, you're blessed. They just don't have the same access to spiritual intel that you do. Chosen ones often receive divine downloads, sudden bursts of insight, dreams that carry warnings, visions that later come true. These aren't hallucinations or coincidences, they're encrypted messages from God. And because you're spiritually awake, your soul can decode them. The more you honor those messages, the stronger they become. The more you dismiss them, the more disconnected you'll feel. That's why you must learn to trust that voice, even when logic says otherwise, and don't expect validation. People fear what they don't understand. And your spiritual radar makes people uncomfortable. Why? Because you see through them. You can smile politely, but your soul is already 10 steps ahead. You've clocked their jealousy, their resentment, and their secret intentions, all without a single word spoken. That's spiritual discernment, and it's one of your sharpest weapons in this world. But here's the warning. Not everyone with spiritual radar knows how to trust it. That's where many chosen ones stumble. You feel something's off, but you give people the benefit of the doubt. You rationalize it. You convince yourself that you're being too judgmental. But every time you ignore that gut nudge, you pay for it later, whether it's betrayal, disappointment, or wasted time. So, Spirit Warrior, this is your reminder. Your intuition is divine GPS. It's not just a soft whisper. It's the roar of the Holy Spirit within you. When it says, turn left, when it says, run, run. You don't need everyone to understand your path. It wasn't given to them. It was given to you. In a world full of noise, stay tuned to your inner frequency, because while others are chasing the truth in textbooks, you're receiving it straight from the source. You're not crazy. You're called. And when you walk in that truth, no weapon formed against you can prosper, because you've already sensed it coming before it ever had a chance to strike. Stay vigilant, Spirit Warrior. Your soul knows the way. Trust it. Point 5, your empathy is not a weakness. You feel everything, don't you, Spirit Warrior? The bright joy that lights up a stranger's eyes when their baby takes those first unsteady steps, the hidden heartbreak behind a friend's forced smile, even the lingering, quiet grief that seems to hang in the air after tragic news flashes across the screen. You walk through life like a tuning fork, resonating with every frequency around you. It's a beautiful but intense experience. Some days, it might feel like you're carrying emotions that aren't even your own. That's because you are. You're an empath, a rare and powerful spiritual conduit who absorbs the feelings and energies of those around you. But this isn't just poetic language, there's real science behind it. Neurological studies reveal that highly empathetic individuals have hyperactive mirror neurons, special brain cells that fire both when we act and when we observe others acting. This means you literally feel what others feel on a cellular level. You're not imagining it, you are taking in emotional energy deeply and unconsciously, yet the world often misunderstands this depth. People may call you too sensitive, as if that's a flaw needing correction or concealment. But here's a secret many won't admit. Your empathy unsettles others because it awakens parts of themselves they have buried to survive. Your ability to feel deeply and to care openly is a mirror that reflects their own numbness. You are not dramatic, you are awake, you are not weak, you are open. And in a world that often values cold detachment and emotional armor, this takes immense courage. Empathy is far more than a personality trait. It's a spiritual gift and a calling. Throughout history, ancient healers, shamans, prophets, and mystics were often empaths. They sensed the pain of their people, listened to the silent suffering of nature, and transformed that pain into healing and hope. Whether you realize it or not, this is what you do too. When you show up for someone at their lowest point, when you say the words that unlock tears long held back, when your presence alone feels like a balm to a hurting soul, that is divine work. That is spirit flowing through you, channeling love and healing energy. But even warriors need armor. Your empathy is your sword, but boundaries are your shield, because not everyone deserves access to your light. There are emotional vampires who will drain your energy until you are empty. That's why learning to protect your energy is not selfish. It's sacred self-care. You must learn to say no without guilt, to walk away without endless explanation, and to retreat without apology. Rest is part of your spiritual journey just as much as connection. Replenishing your well allows your light to shine brighter, not dimmer. You don't have to fix everyone or carry the weight of the world on your shoulders. Your true job is to stay rooted in your own truth and keep your soul lit as you navigate life. The more you honor your energy and set healthy boundaries, the more powerful your empathy becomes. You'll begin to attract people who match your vibration instead of pulling you down. You'll notice your sensitivity evolving into sharp intuition, your pain transforming into deep wisdom, and your presence growing into a source of undeniable peace for yourself and others. So don't dull your shine, spirit warrior. Don't shrink your spirit to make others comfortable. The world desperately needs more people who feel deeply and openly. In the numbness and haste of modern life, a spirit warrior like you, soft-hearted yet clear-eyed, open-armed yet fiercely protected, is a revolution in motion. And you, with every feeling you carry, are leading the charge toward a more compassionate, awakened world. Point 6. Your spiritual journey is not a trend, it's your purpose. While everyone else is chasing clout likes, temporary highs, and surface-level applause, spirit warrior, you walk a different path. While they scroll for validation, you meditate for clarity. While they mimic, you awaken. Your journey isn't about keeping up with the world, it's about catching up with your soul. And yes, that makes you different. They might roll their eyes when you talk about energy, divine timing, or ancestral healing. They'll call your spiritual practices weird, a phase, or just a trend. But here's the truth, what they mock is what they fear, because your awakening reminds them that they are still asleep. This spiritual path you're on, it's not for aesthetics or applause, it's for alignment. Neuroscience now supports what ancient mystics always knew. Spiritual practices like meditation, prayer, chanting, and breathwork can rewire the brain, regulate emotions, and reduce anxiety. That's not fluff, that's a fact. You're not just playing with crystals or journaling for fun. You're rewriting your nervous system. You're healing trauma stored in the body. You're activating parts of your brain that society told you to ignore. You're upgrading while others are numbing. And let's talk about loneliness, because yes, the chosen path does get lonely. This isn't a journey that comes with a cheering squad. You'll be doubted, misunderstood, even rejected by people you once held dear. But that's because the more you step into truth, the more uncomfortable you make people who still live in illusion. Your growth challenges their stagnation. Your peace exposes their chaos. Your discipline reveals their distractions, and that's not arrogance. That's energetic law. When a higher frequency walks into the room, everything out of tune vibrates louder. That's why people start acting strange when you start aligning. It's not personal. It's spiritual physics. Still, the world will try to seduce you back into sleep, through entertainment, through fear, through convenience, but you didn't come here to conform, you came to transform. That's the mark of the spirit warrior. You don't just live for yourself, you carry generations on your back, you're healing bloodlines, you're breaking karmic cycles, you're remembering who you were before the world told you who to be. This isn't just a hobby, this is your soul's assignment, your intuitive nudges, your visions, your synchronicities. That's divine GPS rerouting you toward your higher self. The more you trust it, the more magic unfolds. You weren't sent here to fit in, you were sent here to wake people up just by being who you are. Not by preaching, not by proving, but by walking in your truth. And yes, that takes courage. But you've got lifetimes of strength running through your spirit, so stay the course. Meditate when they mock, pray when they party, trust when they doubt. The path of the chosen one is rarely crowded, because most don't have the stamina to face themselves, but keep walking, keep rising, keep shining, because on the other side of the solitude, the shadows and the silence, there's a destiny so sacred it'll make all the struggle worth it. Peace, power, purpose, and a connection to the divine that no trend could ever touch. You're not behind, you're not lost, you're becoming. Stay sacred, stay grounded, stay chosen. Point 7, you have the power to rewrite your story. For far too long, spirit warrior, you have allowed others to draft your destiny using ink that wasn't yours to wield. They've painted you with labels, too much for their limited understanding, too sensitive for their hardened hearts, or too different for the narrow lanes they comfortably travel. But it's time to break this down with absolute clarity. What they branded as too weird was simply your brilliance wrapped in layers of mystery they couldn't comprehend. Their harsh words, merely projections of their own fears and insecurities. Their judgments, nothing more than a mirror reflecting their own limitations. The truth is, they never truly saw you because you were never meant to fit into their tiny, confining boxes. You were meant to shatter those boxes and redefine what it means to be free. From a psychological perspective, this tendency to label what we do not understand stems from a cognitive bias known as the false consensus effect. This bias makes people assume that their own beliefs, values, and ways of seeing the world are the correct or normal ones, and anything outside their frame is often unfairly judged as wrong, off, or even dangerous. When someone walks a different path, when their thoughts, emotions, or behaviors don't align with the majority, those individuals become easy targets for misunderstanding and dismissal. This is exactly why extraordinary, powerful beings like you are so often misread or misjudged. People fear what they cannot control or categorize, so they try to contain it with labels, hoping to diminish its impact. But here's where the story takes a powerful turn. The pen is back in your hand. You are no longer a passive character living in someone else's version of your life. You are the author of your own chapters, writing with ink infused with courage, conviction, and sacred purpose. This is not just a motivational catchphrase, it's a spiritual rebellion against the limits others have tried to impose on you. No longer are you waiting for external validation or permission to step into your full power. You are reclaiming your narrative, one unshakable truth at a time. Understanding this process is not only liberating, but also deeply transformative. When you recognize that the labels placed on you are reflections of other people's fears and small-mindedness, it becomes clear that you are neither broken nor defective. Instead, you embody the breakthrough, an evolutionary leap in human consciousness. You are the living proof that the world is ready for new ideas, fresh perspectives, and bold authenticity. This realization rewires your mental and emotional framework, turning old wounds into sources of wisdom and strength. Spiritually, this process of reclaiming your story aligns with timeless teachings about self-empowerment and awakening. Many ancient traditions speak of the hero's journey, a path where the individual must break free from the chains of conformity and face the darkness within and without to emerge transformed. Your so-called weirdness is actually a sign of your unique gifts and your alignment with higher frequencies of consciousness. The mystics, prophets, and visionaries of all ages were often misunderstood and labeled as different or dangerous because they dared to challenge the status quo. Their stories teach us that true power lies in embracing your authentic self, no matter how unconventional or challenging that might appear to others. Now, in this very moment, you have the opportunity to edit your past stories, Revise the lies you were told and publish the undeniable power that has been quietly burning inside you all along. This act of reclaiming your narrative is a sacred duty to yourself, your lineage, and the generations that will come after you. Your life is your story. You are both the sword that breaks chains and the pen that scripts new possibilities. You are the spirit warrior, a force not meant to be tamed or hidden away, but to shine brilliantly and unapologetically. So write like your soul depends on it, because it does. Every word you speak, every action you take, and every choice you make is an expression of the truth that you are no longer a victim of others' judgments, but a creator of your own destiny. This is your moment of liberation, your spiritual uprising, your breakthrough. Step fully into your power and rewrite the narrative so boldly that it inspires others to do the same. The world is waiting for the uncontainable force that is you. Remember, chosen ones, the truth is not what they say you are. The truth is who you feel you are in your heart, in your soul, and in your bones. They're a liar, and deep down everyone knows it. And it's time you start living like you know it too. Stay awake, my friends. Your journey is just beginning. What's one lie you've been told about yourself that you're ready to let go of today? Let me know in the comments below.